Talking about democracy, the world's largest democracy is heading to polls. 986 million Indians will vote soon, and observing them will be global parties. India's ruling party has invited 25 of them. 13 have confirmed their presence. They will be given a ringside view of the election. So who's on the list? I'll tell you who's not. The likes of China, Pakistan and the United States. And why is that? Which countries will observe India's polls? What role will they play? And has India ever acted as an election observer in other countries? Our next report tells you.
Elections. They are the cornerstone of any democracy. But the electoral process is not easy. Its integrity faces many challenges. There are irregularities, fraud and coercion, all to derail free and fair elections. India is heading to polls. It's the world's largest democracy, which makes this the world's largest election. It's a mammoth electoral exercise, and it needs observers. India's election body already has poll observers, but now India has invited global parties. India's ruling party, the BJP, has invited 25 global parties. 13 of them have confirmed their visits. Indian elections have had foreign observers in the past. So who's on the list this time? Bangladesh's Awami League, the UK's Conservative and Labour parties, Germany's Christian Democrats and Social Democrats, all major parties of Nepal, Sri Lanka's top political parties. They have all been invited to observe the elections. They will be given a brief, taken to various constituencies, and given a ringside view of the electoral process. So, who's not invited? No party from Pakistan is on the list. Not surprising, given the tensions between the two countries. China's Communist Party has also not been invited. But even top US parties have been left out, both the Republicans and the Democrats. Why? Reports suggest it's because they will be busy with their own presidential elections later this year. Which brings us to the concept of election observers. They observe elections, they provide inputs, they act as impartial witnesses to the electoral process. They may not prevent malpractice, but help report it. Election observers are of two kinds, national and international. Internal observers include polling booth officials, officials from other parties, and independent witnesses. Then there are international observers. They judge the legitimacy of a country's election. They look at whether it's free and fair. The concept of international observers is fairly new. Until World War II, it wasn't very common. During the 1960s, less than 10% of elections were monitored. But it gained steam after the Cold War. The East-West divide gave an economic context to democratic elections. Free elections were linked to a free market, so the West set the rules. By the 2000s, about 80% of all elections were observed. Often, countries send their observers. Sometimes it's conducted by international organizations, regional bodies and NGOs. India is no stranger to international observers. It's a role the country has played many times. India has observed elections in many countries like Egypt, Venezuela, Mexico, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, South Africa, Kenya, Cambodia and many others. So this time, India has invited global parties, offering them a front row seat to the dance of democracy, as the world's largest democracy goes to polls.